What's going on, YouTube? My name is FG3000, back in the place to be, and welcome back to the MMO Hopper. Today we're taking a look at a title called Riders of Icarus. Now, I'm going to say all of the positive things about this game first, before I get to the negatives, because I got quite a few negatives, but I do have quite a few positives as well. So I want to make sure that people hear the positive things before they yell at me for complaining about the things I complain about. So, with that being said, as far as graphics are concerned, let's start off with that. This game is easily top 4 when it comes to best graphics in an MMO of all time. At least top 4 or top 5. So graphics are fantastic. Everything is very clean. My character model looks very detailed. I was pretty happy with what I was able to come up with out of the character generation as well. So that is definitely a positive mark. The pet taming, as you can see, there's dragons just flying around, is actually a really surprisingly good system. When I very first heard about the pet taming system, I thought it was a gimmick that wouldn't be able to actually hold the game, but it does. The pet taming system actually brings a very compelling dynamic to this game that I didn't think it would be strong enough to carry it, but I was wrong. But we'll talk about the pet taming system a little bit later. So that's positive. The combat itself is actually very impactful. Let's go fight this panther over here. Combat's actually pretty impactful, good sound effects, good feeling of power and impact. I'm a priest, by the way, so there's not a lot of games out there that make priest abilities sound that weighty and that meaty. So I gotta give it props there. They did a pretty decent job as far as combat is concerned when it comes to this priest at least. So I do like that. So, you know, everything's not bad. Everything's not bad. But that's pretty much it. So let's get to the negative things. Not saying that's the only good parts about the game, but that's, you know, we'll cover them. We'll cover it as it goes along. Now let's talk about a few negatives here. So when I first boot up the game, right? Actually, let's take a step back. If I wanted to sum up Riders of Icarus, I would sum it up by saying that this game is so safe. It's an extremely safe game. So when I boot up Riders of Icarus, the only race option that you get is human, right? I mean, okay, whatever. But that's just such a safe thing to do. The only option is human. All right, whatever. When you pick your classes, all of the classes are the same generic template that we've seen so many times before. You got your sword and board warrior. You got your two-hand sword berserker. You got your wizard that shoots fireballs and frostbolts. You got your little priest. You got an assassin, which I'll give a slight pass to, because the assassin does play a little bit differently. Their whole kit is their whole kit revolves around doing evasions and dodges, so I'll give it a slight pass when it comes to assassins. But all of the classes are so bog standard and so safe. It's just they didn't try to they didn't try to think outside the box. They didn't try to push the envelope. They just made the most standard MMO they could possibly make, and then they polished the heck out of it. And for me, I mean, aren't we past that by now? Like, maybe that's just me, but I wanted to see some more unique classes, maybe some races, just something different, because it's kind of a smack in the face, because you go into this little quest area a few hours into the game, and there's this tribe of bunnies, like these humanoid bunny tribe. Why can't I be a freaking bunny? Why can't I? If you can put them in the game, but you won't let players be them, and that's just a rough example, but it kind of echoes what I'm saying about this game in its entirety, is that it's just so safe. When you go across a hill, or you turn around a bend, or if you go into like a valley like this, or if you go into a cave, nothing is surprising. Everything looks so safe and so basic. Nothing, like there's just nothing pushing me to go to another area. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that gives me the idea that there's something super interesting over there, or I can't wait to go see what's in that zone. Like, none of it has been that way. It's just been so safe, so boring, so stale when it comes to that. Not saying that it's a bad game, but the environment and the fact that they didn't really try to push the envelope in any way, to me, it's just really boring. So I do have to say that. But like I said, the shining achievement for this game is, and this is another negative thing right here. This is off on a tangent just for a second, but Nexon has made so many MMOs in the West. We've been doing MMOs in the West for how many years, and you guys don't know how to solve the gold seller spam problem? Like, look at the chat. You can't even use chat because it's always filled with gold spammers. And to top it off, there's no right click to block. So you just can't easily block these names either. Like, how did you bring out an MMO? How did you make an MMO in this day and age that has such weak filters when it comes to your chat box? There needs to be an easy way for you to block people and report people instantly, but the game doesn't have it. The game has no protections for spam filters, no way to block people. How? I don't get it, Nexon. This is not your first game. How was that not a thing that you guys focused on? Well, the chat is basically dead. There's no way to talk to anyone outside of a guild because the chat box is just 100% useless. So that really sucks as well. But let's talk about the crowning achievement of the game is the pet system. So the pet system is actually pretty cool. If you can see a creature out in the wild that looks like you can ride it, you can probably tame it. So pretty much everything is out there. I have this little wolf right here. I got this really awesome spider, which was an interesting way to tame this here. So if you go up to the spider and try to tame it, you just can't tame it. You have to find this special book that drops off of a mob in another zone before you can actually tame this spider. So it's not just about running up to a mob and just taming it. There are a lot of different mobs that actually require you to do something special in order to tame it. So that's actually pretty cool. You also get flying mounts very early in the game. They give you a free one. This one right here only lasts 7 days, and this is about to run out, but this is one that they give you pretty early on. So as far as mounts are concerned, you get them early, you get them often, and that's actually let's go through a couple more of the ones I have here. I have this little panther right here who looks beastly. Nice job. This is my other bird right here. Let's summon this guy. You get this guy for free just by questing in the game. Little cute little bird right here. The way that the mechanic works when it comes to certain mounts in certain zones. So if I want to go any higher than this, I need to have a better mount. Like that mount right there can only go so high. So when you think about that, like those hills and those mountains over there, I won't be able to actually fly over them with that mount because it's just not a high enough ranking mount to fly that high. So I kind of like how they did. I kind of like how they did that and implemented that. Here's my little bear right here. What's up? It's called a meadow bear, but it's white. I would think this is like a polar bear, but whatever. Cute little bear right there. I've already showed you my leopard. I got this bison. So literally, pretty much anything that you can see that looks like you can ride it, you can probably tame it. So they did a very, very good job when it comes to the pet system because when it breaks up the monotony a little bit. So this is a quest hub right here. You grab all your quests and then you go out into the world and you do the quests, right? That's kind of the way that most MMOs work. But here with this pet taming system, not only are you looking for your quest objectives, but you're also like, what other creatures are out here that I can tame, right? It adds another dynamic. So there's something else you're looking for besides just doing your quest and running to the next part. It's like, well, maybe I should go over here and see if there's a creature over here that I want. Ooh, a unicorn. Let me tame that. Or maybe I don't want to tame that. Maybe I want to use it as a pet, etc., etc. Or like this little guy over here who lives over here on this little bend right here. Let's go over here and take a look at him. Like, I already have a leopard, but maybe I want a white leopard like this one over here. Maybe I should tame this. So it changes the dynamic a little bit because you do more than just walk around and do quests. You're also kind of looking for, you know, your own vanity, right? You're looking for mounts. This guy might try to tame it. Nope, he just wants to get some of that grass over there. So whatever. And, you know, speaking of the mounts, once again, like I said, I was very skeptical. I didn't think that the game would be carried on its mounts, pun intended, but it really is. You can literally do everything on your mount. Like if I want to go and grab this little sage grass, I can do it right on my mount. There's no animation for it, but whatever. I'm okay with that. I can turn in quests on my mounts. I can pick up objectives in the world on my mount. I mean, your mount is an extension of you, and they did make the game revolve around the mounts quite a bit. And like I said, the gimmick works. It does a really good job, so I gotta give it props on that. But that is pretty much the entire game though, guys. Like seriously, it's a quest hub MMO where you go from hub to hub. You fill out your quests. There's not a lot of backtracking. So once you've done your questing, you will continue to move forward. But like I said, there's just nothing that I felt was, there's just nothing to look forward to. You know, the amount of time that I played this game, I haven't seen any interesting zones or anything like that. Nothing has been super compelling for me. Just for me. It's just been really standard. Not to say that there's not more to this game that might be more interesting as you get into higher levels, but I just don't believe that you should lock off, oh, look at this guy's mount. I don't believe you should lock off all the cool things just for the high levels, right? You gotta hook me to the game, and I don't think this game did a really good job at hooking me, but I'll try to finish it out. That's a pretty cool mount right there. I'm level 16. The current max level is 25, so I'm pretty close. So I might as well just max out and kind of see what else is in the game. And I'll make another impressions video a little bit later that's more review-ish, but this is kind of more of a first impression, first look at the game, based off of what I've seen so far. Not one of my favorite MMOs, but you know, it does enough things right, and the pet system kind of pushes it over the edge. If it wasn't for the pet system, nobody would be playing this game, obviously. But that's not really fair. That's like saying if there wasn't, the combat wasn't as good in Blade and Soul, nobody would play Blade and Soul. So it's not super fair, but it has to be said that this game lives and dies on its pet system, because there's really nothing else that stands out about this game at all. That's it. That's it. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for this little first look at Riders of Icarus. Hope you enjoyed. Don't I have another little guy? I got this guy. Pretty much everybody has this guy as a little pet. It's a kangaroo. Anyway, guys, that is my first initial impressions of Riders of Icarus. I still recommend the game. The game is actually doing fantastic on Steam. One of the higher played games on Steam. It's free to play. I haven't felt like I needed to spend any money just yet. Backspace has been pretty decent as well, so I'm pretty happy with that. And one last thing I kind of want to touch on here is that the game has an enchantment system. So I say I haven't spent any money just yet, but I don't know if that's going to be the case later on in the game, since this game has an enchantment system. So if you take a look at my weapon right here, let's take a look at these boots. So I have these boots of +10. So I use these items to basically improve the stats of this pair of boots here. So this can go all the way up to +15 boots. Now, when it comes to games like this, now keep in mind I haven't played far enough in Riders of Icarus. These games tend to get pretty pay to win at the end, because you get to the point where you fail so many times trying to improve your weapons and armor through the in-game system that you have to go to the cash shop to buy some of the things to make your weapon safe. And what I mean by safe is making it so that you don't lose stats when you try to improve it, or you guarantee that you get the stat upgrade. So when I see systems like this in free-to-play games, it makes me feel that once you get to the end game, you're going to be in that cash shop trying to buy something to make your equipment easier to upgrade or to make it safe from downgrade. So keep that in mind. But so far, I haven't had to jump into the cash shop at all. So it's okay, at least in the beginning. So that's going to do it for this video here. I'm going to keep playing. Like I said, I'm going to try to get to level 25, check out some of the end game, see what the dungeons are all about, and see some of the higher level creatures, and maybe some of the zones are cooler. Maybe eventually it grabs me. But right now, it's just pretty standard. My name is FG3000. Thank you so much for watching. This is the MMO Hopper, and I'll see you next video. Later.